So, like, I have few guidelines that we will be going through until the people joins. Okay. So the first would be we would be refraining from any other language other than English, so that everyone could understand what is communicated here. And Q&A will be taken at the end once the intended topic is explained. And the one disclaimer that we all understand, but I still feel that I need to tell is resume shown here will not guarantee you any selection in the particular role you are targeting. It all depends on the parameters like knowledge and others. These are the general guidelines for the resume, and these are the Salesforce specific. So go through that, go through these ones, and if you have any doubt, let me know while we wait for other.
Yeah, Pankaj.
Yeah, Chaitanya.
Here you're telling don't add Windows.
Yeah, I feel because I feel these are the things that we used to do when we were freshers in freshers. So, like, suppose you are applying for the Salesforce developer role. Do you personally think your knowledge of Windows or MS Word, MS PowerPoint, does it matter?
So here we are removing the operating system.
Yeah, operating system you could mention, but I don't think that does matter because they don't even care. Suppose I come to you for a job. If I'm coming as a Salesforce developer and I mention I know how to operate Windows, does it matter to you?
No, it is not working.
Yeah, and even these days even a fifth year old know how to operate Windows. So I don't think that is that much important to put in your resume. Because even you yourself personally not going to look into these things if someone comes for a job. So yeah, it's clear. So anyone have any other doubt? After that we will be going to the resume that I created. So I will be starting now if everyone is clear with this. This was the resume that I created while I was searching for jobs. So I will be dividing this video into three parts. First would be for those who are freshers to Salesforce. And second, like those who have 1 or 1.5 years of experience in Salesforce and looking to switch. And the third would be those who are switching from another technology to the Salesforce. Let's begin. So first let's talk about the common parts. Okay. So the first common part would be I suggest all of you to add these things like these logos of the Ranger or the certification that you have, because that kind of direct impression. So like the interviewer don't need to look into all these things to get the gist of the things, whether you know things or not. Okay. So the first point would be do add these logos. Okay. This Ranger logo you could get, just go search the Google and take the screenshot of it and you could put it here. And certification logo you get in a mail once you clear the certification. So from there you get this logo. And now the other things would be these common things like your name and like your profile. This is like my previous organization name, like for which I was working. And then add your phone number, email number, LinkedIn and Trailhead. LinkedIn I personally feel now these days you should put it. But it's an optional. If you don't want to, you could. But do put your Trailhead ID. Now other common part would be the mentioning of the Trailhead. So you could mention these things like your Trailhead rank, your Trailhead badges, your Trailhead points, super badges and trails. Okay, these are my old points. Now these have changed. But yeah, you could all mention these things. And if you have done the certification, do mention it. And once you mention it, do mention the credential ID. Don't forget to mention it, because with the credential and ID, anyone could check your certification. So do mention it. So it gives the confidence to the interview. Like, yeah, this guy is telling the truth. And this you could mention. And let me think other common things. Like we would come to here later. And the common things would be mentioning your designation and all, and your education, and like these there are few fields that I have erased, like the current address and all, like that I felt shouldn't be shared. So you could put these things in. Yeah, these are the common things. Now we're done with these things. Yeah, one suggestion for anyone who is doing the Trailhead part, I would suggest everyone to do at least 100 badges. Be a ranger at least, because that kind of give a view that yeah, this guy knows something. And another point would be Trailhead point. When you are earning 100 badges, I would suggest to get those 100 badges with a 90k around point, because lesser point will show you that you have done the modules, like basically the quiz modules where the score is low but you get the badges. I would suggest do hands-on, like more hands-on badges, more hands-on modules, because that way you would be getting more points. And if you are lagging behind the points already, like you have already got 100 badges and your points are around 65-60k, I would suggest now is the time to start doing the modules with hands-on, so that you could get the points. Yeah, that would be one of the suggestion to everyone. Okay, now we come to the professional part of the skills that you are going to mention. So there are few guidelines, like first for the people who have the 1 or 1.5 year experience. And also a few of the experienced guys have also joined the session. So for them, I would suggest one thing: use specific keywords. Okay, what do I mean by the keyword? Like, I have automated processes in Salesforce, implemented things, worked on things, because these kind of words, na, they give like the impression to the interviewer, yeah, this guy knows something, he has the hands-on experience. And another point would be, like, suppose there are so many topics in Salesforce, and suppose you know some, like, you know about it but you haven't practiced it, or you don't have the hands-on knowledge. Use the keywords good knowledge for that, or knowledge. That kind of way is to tell the interviewer that, yeah, you know the thing but you don't know the hands-on, that you could mention. And now we come to the another category of guys, like the freshers and the experienced guys switching to sales. Okay, I would suggest you also use keywords like knowledge, or maybe automated or implemented, with few of the things. Like, if I am reading this statement, implemented data modeling and security in Salesforce through profiles, roles, and permission, etc. This could either mean you implemented in the project, or from your side, if the interviewer asks, you could say, yeah, when I was learning, where I implemented it, basically by doing trail and modules or practicing. So yeah, use specific keywords like implemented, good knowledge, and other like that, like the synonyms you could search. This kind of give a positive impression of yours, so that I would suggest to use. Now comes to the skill set. The skill set you could mention like the Salesforce skills, data modeling. It comes like in the data modeling, the things come are creating record, creating objects and record types and etc. That you could mention. Then security configuration and like this. Okay. And for the tools you could mention data loader if you have worked, Visual Studio Code or Workbench, and other skills that you have. Now comes the important part, the projects, for which like most of you are thinking like what we should put here. Okay, so the first thing is that you should mention your project, and the first important thing, never mention the client's name. Why I'm saying that? Because it kind of gives a negative image of yours. Suppose the interviewer taking your image, you have mentioned the client image, he would be like, yeah, this guy couldn't be trusted with the confidential data. So that's one point that you need to keep in mind. Okay, and guys, let me know if I'm going too fast, and if you have any doubt you could ask in between. Okay, so that's the part, and then the period duration for which you have worked on that project, and then do mention your role, whether Salesforce developer or not. Like, let's take the scenario of the guys who are experienced in Salesforce. They need to mention their own role, basically the Salesforce developer. Okay, that comes to that guy. And now for the guys who have freshers, basically, or for the freshers, let's take for the fresher first. You need to mention the project that you do, that you done in your college. You can't mention any thing other than that. Or if you have done any project in your internship, you are free to mention that. Now comes to the guys who are switching to sales from other technology. I would suggest, like, you need to mention the projects you have worked, because leaving it blank is not an option for you. So you need to mention it, but I would suggest don't mention that in detail, because if you mention in detail, then interview will start asking question in detail. Now when it comes to the project description, do mention the project description. Like, just tell about like what's your client doing, and like that, don't go overboard. Now comes to the responsibilities. So these responsibilities are for those guys with 1 or 1.5 years of experience. Guys with 1 or 1.5 years of experience doesn't get much of the experience while working. Like, they will be doing small tasks like finding the error and designing small codes and like that. So for those guys, this could be used. Okay, or those who are with 1 or 1.5 years of experience in other technology and wanted to switch, they could like use this. But guys who are switching with greater experience from other technology, they can't mention it. Like, if your experience is greater than 2 years, you can't mention these things. Okay, I will show you what are the things that you could mention. So let's understand these points first, so you know what these means are. Timely completion of all SRs here means stories. Okay, and project with zero QA defects with optimum quality. Okay, and now then is performed in-depth analysis to find the root cause of critical and high priority issues. Basically find the bugs in the code. That is that what this means. And next come is analyzing and improving performance and efficiency of the existing modules and job. I think it's self-explanatory, no need to mention here. Now we come to the other part. Basically, they worked on couple CRs. CRs are basically change requests. Okay, these are the things that could be mentioned by guys with 1 or 1.5 years of experience, either with Salesforce or with other technology. So now let me look into what the guys with like more than 1 or 1.5 years of experience could mention, or those guys with 1 or 1.5 years want to mention their Salesforce experience, what they could write. Let me show you that. They could mention things like this: designing of record triggered flows, designing and scheduling of batches, data modeling, creating objects, fields, record types, page layout, writing triggers, and integration of Salesforce with external system using REST API, designing, sharing rules. These are just for few examples, and based on this, you could write your own experience, like what you have actually done with the project. You could mention. And also one thing I forgot to mention. Do mention your photograph, and it should be professional because this kind of gave a professional touch. So do mention this. Side, if you any one of you having any doubt with the resume part, could now unmute themselves and let me know.
PF section, what are the things he need to
Okay, Chaitanya, do you have 3 years experience in Salesforce or other technology?
Salesforce and other technologies.
Like suppose you have worked on Java and you have developed some website or written some code like that or some created some automation solution that you could mention. And then coming to the Salesforce, like the example that I showed you, let me show you again. Whether you designed the record triggered flow, design and scheduled of batches like that, you could mention. So that would not be a big issue. Take that example and you would be good to go. And as for the resume, like someone put in the chat, I like just ping me on the LinkedIn. I will like send that template to you. That's not a big issue.
Hi Pankaj,
Yes,
Harshad here.
yes,
So,
Harsha.
do you have any template for those who are switching the profile from other technology?
Yeah, for that you could even use this template. For example, since you want to use this template, this information will be common for you. Okay, and now you need to mention your some of the your previous technology experience. You could mention it, and then you could mention these things like you have a knowledge and route of Apex classes. So that you could mention, and then comes to the skills. You need to mention this skill, and yeah, since you are switching to other technology, basically Salesforce, keep the things that you are done in the previous technology, keep it limited. You don't want the interview to ask to from that technology, okay? Because you are preparing for Salesforce, so keep that in mind. And now comes to the project. Now project, you can't use these things and neither this one, like the one I showed you, because you are switching from other technology, okay? Like the things that you work, try to mention that, like if you have designed any code or anything.
Hi Pankaj, this is Sai. Good evening.
Yeah, hi Sahil.
Am I audible to you?
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
Okay, perfect. Pankaj, could you just elaborate that why we could not mention the client name? I mean, could you just elaborate that point?
Yeah, like why we could not mention, like most of the companies don't want their clients to be mentioned. Like the offer letter they mention, they specifically mention these guidelines with a legal liability. That is one issue, but nobody going to check whether you have mentioned in a particular interview or not. Okay, nobody cares, and nobody going to go after you. But suppose you are mentioning that, like it's kind of confidential information. So when you go to other interviewer, he will be like, yeah, this guy is freely mentioning confidential data. Could we trust him? So that might not cost you the job, but it might create a negative impact from the perspective of the interviewer. That is why I'm saying, if you want to mention, you are free to mention. I don't think that cause a big issue, but I would suggest not to mention. Instead, use some abbreviation, like if you could mention, and suppose if you are in that project, suppose you are in that project and you are in some team in that project, like Hakuna Matata, something like that. I'm not saying do mention Hakuna Matata, so that might not be good thing to mention. You just do something else. Okay, like here in my example, I mentioned EPDB. It's not the client's name. It's just the application that I was working on. So kind of like that, you could mention.
And one more thing.
Yeah, Chaitanya.
I worked on the application and project,
Okay.
which is a web based for hospital
Okay.
and application for the patients.
Okay.
So it's entirely for hospital name. For that hospital we work. So how what is the project name we can put for those kind of
Yeah,
scenarios?
hospital name. Like you could try searching some acronym or just mention random name. Does the interview care? Like even in the interviewer is not going to go and search for. Just mention any random name.
Okay.
Don't mention any weird name. Like the way I mentioned EPDB, like that you could mention.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi Tejasvi.
Yes, sir.
Like you could call
sir.
me Pankaj, like Pankaj. No need to call me sir.
Okay. So I'm having a 5 years gap after my engineering,
Okay.
and now I'm preparing for the Salesforce. So my question is, how can I build my resume for that? I mean, I'm already having the gap of 5 years. So
Yeah, like in that case, yeah, like your resume would be the resume of a fresh, like. But I would
yes,
suggest, like to handle that kind of that gap. Now, I would suggest start like create some project.
yes,
But
yes. I have worked on a project, so I can describe that project in my
yeah, yeah,
resume.
sure. Like that project would be your actual experience. Yeah, no issue on mentioning those things.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Tejas, could I add one point here?
Yes.
Yeah, like are you learn like have you joined some institution to learn Salesforce?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I would not say like I would tell all the people actually there is no need to join an institution. Like Tejas, you have joined now, you could not help it, but I would suggest any other guy who is here, please don't join any institution. There is lot of material available.
Okay. Actually, she's our relative, so
Yeah, even
I
relatives are the ones who just fool you for the money. Like they, nobody in this industry is like in this world, like they any fool you for the money. So I would suggest, like it happened, no issue. But I would suggest in the future, suppose if you want to learn say LWC or any other thing, please don't join an institution
yes, yes,
because
yes.
lot of material are available, and most of the people who tell you like they come as an instructor for you, they don't even have the certification. Like leave the certification, they don't even have the experience. Like could you tell personally, like after joining those institutions, like you feel you learned something, or you done everything on your own?
I'm doing my own also, and
Yeah,
yeah, I'm learning also, and I also learn lot of things by trails that I have
yeah,
solved.
that is what I'm saying now. Like in the like
Yes,
have you joined now, it's okay, but in the in the near future, please don't join any institution. Go
yes,
either, you
yes,
could go on the YouTube or Trailhead, and it actually saves your money.
yes, yes, yes. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
yeah, sure. Yeah, anyone else?
Hi, Pankaj.
Yeah, hi Meghna.
Working for almost 3.6 years now from a non-technical background.
Okay,
So you learn Salesforce developer too, or is it okay if we learn only admin and post
okay.
getting job?
Yeah, I got your question. Like before I answer, I want to add one thing. Please don't target for the admin, especially in India. In India, there is no job called admin. To tell you the truth,
Okay.
admin, but as admin is actually an admin, but a developer is both an admin and a developer.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
though you may be in from non-technic, learning coding is not difficult, especially in the Salesforce side. Those guys
Okay.
with Java experience, they will tell you that Apex is so simple, like as compared to the Java. Even I personally felt that. So, for
Okay.
learning coding here, please, yeah, you could learn easily. If you face any doubt, like you could connect me anytime on the LinkedIn.
Okay.
No issue, I will help you on that. So, don't be,
But
yeah.
so many people will be taking the people who are already experienced in Salesforce, and then I see that there are very few jobs.
Yeah, have you heard about J2S?
Yeah, but I haven't done anything from J to S.
Yeah, so do
I
it
have
because
learned.
J2S, what J2S do is it help you guys like you and want to go into the development or the Salesforce. Register
Okay.
for the sales J2S and start doing it because this gives you one of the opportunity to get into in the Salesforce domain.
Okay.
That you could do, and other is just search on the Naukri platforms like Naukri and all because you might find a job where a company is actually interested to hire. So that you could do. And regarding your resume, like you were asking how, like what could you do in like modify your resume? Okay, yeah, for the project, do mention like whatever the work you did. Do mention a small portion of that in your project section because it tells you like you have actually worked in the previous year. Don't go overboard, just try to keep it minimum.
Okay.
And now the other for the projects that you could mention, since you have not actual hands-on experience, I would suggest start doing some projects. Go on the Google, search for the projects and create some, and then do mention that. That way you have the project, and since you are from non-technical, that would kind of give you a hand like a experience that yeah, this person have actually worked. And regarding if you have any issue with a specific like specifically with your resume, you could like drop me on message on LinkedIn. Yeah, I would be like available to help and look into your resume for any further guidance. Yeah, hi Ajit.
I am from a technical background. I have 3 years of experience. So,
Yeah, do you have the experience in Salesforce?
no, I don't have experience in Salesforce. I have,
Yeah, like whenever you switching job, you need to mention that resume, and you will be actually switching as a Salesforce like a fresher. Since you are technology switching technology, you will be considered as a fresher to Salesforce, but that experience will count because that
okay,
experience will like tell the company, yeah, this he knows how the things work in projects like the Scrum and like that. So that is a additive bonus. So add it, no issue on that.
okay, will it affect my CTC actually? Because being fresher to Salesforce, the CTC will it affect actually?
Like it will not affect like with since your experience like you might get a little low package if you are talking about package, but after a few years you would like get a sudden boost So like if you are switching, I would suggest going down for few bucks would not be a big issue. Because what I would say, na, like there is a ego that comes. Like we have so much experience, and now we want to switch this technology, and but the package is offering is low. Like it's like we're saying we want to control everything. Like it is not possible. So yeah, if they are offering a little package down, yeah, you could go because it's just for the few months or a few year. Like after that, you will get a boost because even you will understand. Na, you have experience in some other technology. You are switching to some other technology. You don't have that experience, so package will be low. What is you expecting? Like you have current, but you could even get more. So what I would suggest is like the way I would tell you to get the higher package with your current CTC get some like get any offer. Let's say you get a one single offer, then use that to like get your package moving. So try to get it close to the your actual package. If you they are offering you low, just accept the first offer you are getting. Yeah, so that would be help you. But I would say that like the way there is a boom in the market, I don't think you will be getting a lower package than your actual package.
Hi Pankaj, I would have some questions. So shall I proceed with it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. So Pankaj, one scenario, if we could consider that if anyone is a fresher and he just joined one of the top leading MNCs and he or she might be got trained in the Salesforce platform. So before deploying into the like project, which are basically goes on into the industry, they need to implement some basics, conceptual understanding and writing some automations or something like that, many kind of project.
Okay.
So what I would ask, what my question is, do we need to consider that in our resume or just a live project that which we are doing in the in the live project?
Would that be a part of your company role or would be on your own?
No, no, it's a part of a company role.
Whatever you do in your company is your actual experience. So mention it.
I actually have one question which is a bit off topic.
Okay.
Actually, I wanted to know, like, is it mandatory for like people who are new to the Salesforce technology to do certifications, or they can just go and start applying for interviews?
Yeah, I have a personal experience. When I start was applying for job, I didn't have any certification, and I got close to 10 offer letters. So if you take me as a personal experience, I would suggest there is a no need. But you need to check the current trend as well because what I felt that most of the guys these days are asking for the certificate.
Yeah.
So if like what I would suggest, try to give few interviews without the certification, and once you feel like everyone is asking for the certification, then do it. Because I would suggest first check the market what is happening. Because if I am saying yeah, nobody wants certification, and you start preparing without certification, everyone is asking certification, then you will come to me. Yeah, Pankaj, you said that. So that depends on the market. What is going in the market, you need to check that.
Yeah.
So check that, but yeah, I personally feel there are very many companies who would expect who would accept a good knowledge even without certification. To tell you personally, there are so many guys on LinkedIn. They were showing that they have 30 plus certification, 20 plus certification, and when you go and ask a simple question, they are not able to answer.
Now, on every resume and every company, they are asking learning.
Yeah,
Why it is much important? Why they are?
yeah. Why I'm tell you why they won't LWC. So like there's so much people in the world. So do you expect that once the Salesforce has designed something, everyone would accept that as it is?
No.
Even I personally feel Salesforce interface on few things is boring, and even I personally don't like. So that is why LWC is in demand because most of the time the clients come with a request with a different interface and want to add some different functionality. So that is why everyone is asked Lightning about. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. So we will be closing the session, and if you have any issue, you could let me know by messaging me on the LinkedIn, and I would share the resources. And for the resume template, the one I showed you, if you want that, just drop me a message on LinkedIn. I would send you that. So that would be from my side, and like, thanks for joining the session. So goodbye, guys. Good night.
Pankaj, for this session.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Pankaj.
Yeah, sure. Okay, bye.